The long-awaited fifth installment in the Mad Max franchise is finally here. Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, George Miller's follow-up to the exceptional Fury Road, is now in cinemas, and this one is pretty great. I mean, it is no Fury Road. I mean, Fury Road was a moment. Fury Road was this cinematic achievement that was unexpected, that was unlike anything we had ever seen, but at 85 years old, let me tell you, George Miller knows what he's doing. And for me, why I love this movie so much, I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy is amazing, Chris Hemsworth is fantastic, but why I like this movie so much was because he didn't do the same thing again.
Yes, agreed.
So, Fury Road was this thing which was so simple in its conception. A whole bunch of people steal a truck, drive it down a desert road, and then decide they got to turn back and go back where they came from.
Yeah.
And that was essentially the basis for the narrative, the plot, and the action that followed. With Furiosa, he's telling an origin story, and origin stories and prequels, like Planet of the Apes, like fourth movies in franchises, are often failures.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to pull off because a lot of the time it's, hey, remember that character that you liked in that movie? Wait, let me explain to you how that character came to be. It's completely unnecessary, but here goes because I feel like I really want to tell the story. Anakin Skywalker. But with Furiosa, George Miller takes a completely different approach. He's got this kind of chapter-like episodic structure to this movie where he builds you up through the greatest hits per se of this young girl's life and the traumas that she has to endure before she becomes Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road.
I'll be honest, I was kind of concerned when this was first announced, right? Because
Same.
I almost wanted just another Mad Max adventure. Because for me, it was like, why is it Furiosa a Mad Max Saga? Why are we following this character where the movie isn't named for?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not being sexist. I really enjoyed her in that. And I just felt I didn't know what the point of the story was. However, having seen Furiosa a Mad Max Saga, I'm willing to put my hands up. Like, look, I had doubts, but George Miller proved me wrong. I think everything he did here, was beautiful. I love that it wasn't just one adventure. We are following the building of the legend of Furiosa. How the girl becomes the woman that we saw in Fury Road. I don't know if it's important. I just think that this was a really good story to tell, and he told it.
You hit the nail on the head, man. I don't know if it was important. I don't know if this was something I must have or that I had to see. But after watching it, the way George Miller has framed it, I feel satisfied. It became important to me.
Yeah.
Both Alia Brown, who plays young Furiosa, and Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays older Furiosa, are phenomenal. And let me tell you, Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't show up until 1 hour into the movie. So Alia Brown is carrying this thing for the first hour. She is your introduction to Furiosa from the first frame of the movie, and she is absolutely fantastic.
I loved the way George Miller sort of broke it down into several acts, segments, whatever you want to call it. I've seen people complain about his pacing. I, however, loved it. I loved that it was slower. I loved that it was more deliberate, I think is the word.
You know what I think people don't like? I think people don't like movies that are paced the way they used to be.
Yes, I agree.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Furiosa have similar pacing in that they feel like a classic Western. And with George Miller, you can see where he's coming from in the story that he wants to tell, because that's the style that he's taken on.
Yeah.
It's the classic, not hero's journey per se, but formation of the hell trials that your hero must go through before emerging victorious in the end. So, what is it? Is it the trials of Hercules? Like,
Yeah.
in the same way, there are the 5 or 6 chapters in this movie, right? So
Yeah.
Furiosa has to go through those things, and then she becomes who she is.
Man, I love that. I loved that, unlike Fury Road, which is this frenetic, energetic action film driven by that score, that just guitar heavy distortion to 11 score. This feels paced. It feels deliberate. You watch Furiosa become Imperator Furiosa. You watch her earn that title almost, right? She has to escape. She has to get into places. And we were joking about how we had heard that Anya Taylor-Joy's dialogues only amounted to less than 30 pages or something within this film. And man, I thought that was great. I loved that for the most of it, Anya Taylor-Joy is just looking at a character and just scowling, and you go like, you better get out of a fucking way.
But that's very Mad Max, right? In that, even in Fury Road, apparently Tom Hardy only had like 63 lines.
Yeah.
Even Tom Hardy, I mean, half his face is covered for a lot of the movie when
That's
he's all
true.
like with that weird metal Bane-like thing.
Yeah.
I feel like he makes a call. I feel like George Miller is doing something incredibly cinematic. He's showing, not telling. I didn't need Anya Taylor-Joy to express her trauma to me. I saw it. It was happening before me from the time she was a child, from all the stuff that happened to her mother, being raised essentially by Immortan Joe and freaking Dementus. I mean, all of that, the impact of all of that is there throughout this movie. And like, I saw all of it.
I love how there were moments where Dementus is written as the other guy in the room trying to fill the silence. He's trying to have a conversation with Furiosa, but Furiosa is just staring daggers at him, and Dementus just keeps trying to fill the silence with noise, right? That feels like a George Miller fuck you to people who need characters to tell you their story. We don't know Anya Taylor-Joy's backstory. I mean, we do because we've seen it, but we don't need her to tell us, the audience, what happens in the intervening years. We don't need to see a shot of Anya Taylor-Joy's character or young Furiosa or Imperator Furiosa sitting down and talking about, oh, Dementus used to make me watch his dogs take poops. And I didn't need to know that. I didn't need a monologue from that character, because in her face, I see that she's gone through shit and she's gained strength from that. She's also gained strength from where her upbringing before she got to Dementus. So I see it all in the performance. I don't need a long character monologue. But Dementus, being Dementus, just kept talking and I loved it.
The other thing that Miller does very well in a movie where everybody is essentially a bad guy, everyone is an asshole, they live in a wasteland, the world has gone to shit. Obviously, everyone is doing what they need to survive, and so no one is good or noble. And yet he still manages to play with your emotions with regards to who you support. Because obviously you start the movie hating Dementus, but when Dementus goes to the Citadel, you remember Immortan Joe and what a dick he was, and you're like, wait, should I not be hating that guy? And then you're like, oh no, wait, but Dementus is the greater bad guy to Furiosa, so therefore I'm on Immortan Joe's side in this movie. And I'm like, what is happening? My allegiances are constantly shifting, and that's what great cinema should be. That's what it should do to me. It should have me questioning who I trust, who I believe. Oh, it's so good.
Sorry, I was doing some wiki shit. Furiosa's mother, do you know where you've seen her before?
Isn't she Chris Hemsworth's wife?
No.
Wait, who plays Furiosa's mother?
She was Glenn Powell's ex-girlfriend in Anyone But You.
Oh, yes, that's right. Sorry. The general who had a cameo in the first part of the movie, the blonde-haired lady, that was Chris Hemsworth's wife.
Yes.
Elsa Pataki. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I was going to go on this rant about how she was so great in this. And then I remember how she was not great in Anyone But You. You could tell it was her first film. Yes, she's a very successful model. But dude, she was so good in this. In that chase at the beginning of the film, when she just keeps stopping and shoot. Dude, her performance was fantastic, I thought.
Yeah.
For what is essentially her second role, you leaned over about halfway, 2/3 the way through this film, and you said it's nice seeing a Hollywood film or a big budget action movie that's just filled with Australian people.
Like it feels Australian, yes.
Not only that, but I love the fact that there weren't all these cameo roles. I love the fact that Furiosa's mother isn't played by some famous Hollywood actress.
Yeah.
You know, I love the fact that there were only two people in that whole movie that are recognized, and one of them had a massive prosthetic nose. I don't know. I thought that was really refreshing. That it didn't have, like, even Fury Road had like, oh look, it's Nicholas Hoult. Oh look, it's that guy, right? There was nothing of that here, and I really like that.
Once again, at 85 years old, George Miller is crafting these phenomenal action sequences. They aren't as intense as what you saw on Fury Road. But then again, Fury Road was a different movie. Fury Road was based around this runaway truck, and that was the whole point of it. But even in this one, with the runaway truck, with the parachuting bad guys, with war boys taking spears and shooting them down, like all of that choreography is absolutely stunning on the big screen. It is so, so good and beautiful to see. Heck, it's got stunts that look cooler than Fall Guy,
Yeah,
which was a movie about stunt people.
I was gonna say there was a lot more CG used in this compared to the first one.
I think maybe there was, yes.
Because there were even shots where, like at the end, when we see Furiosa's sort of hero shot, that really felt like a studio. Just the way the sunlit sky or the dusk sky in the desert, unless that's just what it looks like over there, that's cool. But it really felt like it felt too painterly.
Right.
So a lot of that felt artificial. There were a lot of CG war boys, which I thought was a little bit annoying. I will say I agree with you. I think a lot of the stunts were better designed and they look better on camera than some of the stuff on Fall Guy.
I had an absolute blast. I was as apprehensive and anxious as you were going into this, only because Fury Road was such an unexpected delight. It was absolutely stunning. It was beautiful. And then watching this, I got the same sense of beauty and chaos and all of the stuff that George Miller was trying to do with this saga. You know, when you think about it, there are... Actually, I don't think there is. I don't think there is a single original sci-fi story that is still helmed by its creator. George Miller envisioned Mad Max. He did the first movie, and he has done all of the movies since then.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that we have this progression of his vision all the way through Furiosa. George Lucas has given it up. Gene Roddenberry is not in the picture. He passed away, and he kind of let the reins of Star Trek go as well. I don't think there is a science fiction / fantasy franchise that is still being crafted by its originator.
It's also refreshing in that it hasn't gone to pot yet.
No, because the world building is so solid in this. This idea of the wasteland. Also, this movie shows us places that were only spoken about in the other films. Because obviously the other films kind of centered on the Citadel and the desert. But then here we see the bullet farm and the gas place. And yeah, so we get to see the world expanded, but not in a Star Wars prequel kind of way where we get lost in it.
It didn't feel like a whistle-stop tour, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And yes, and I really enjoyed the world building. I think the voiceover narrative at the beginning, which is just the kind of excerpts of news footage and reports, gives you everything you need to know about the film and everything you need to know about the movie going into it. It was interesting that the movie ends with scenes from Fury Road playing over the credits, almost as a tease of what's coming next.
Also, I was talking to a couple of filmmaker friends of ours, and I think he's done with Furiosa because you can't fit another movie here.
Right.
The movie ends with them escaping, right? In fact, there's a point at the end of this film where you think you see someone you know from the next movie.
Right.
It's almost like, no, this is it. At the end of this one, you can go in and watch Fury Road and the movie will just continue. And I like that. I like that it feels he's setting this Furiosa, Fury Road thing to the side, Will he come back to another Mad Max Saga movie? I sure hope so. But it feels like the Furiosa duology is done.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I love that.
He's also 85 years old, friend.
He's also 85 years old, so I think he's got one more in him.
Another movie, maybe not another Mad Max movie. He takes very long between these movies, man.
I think he should make the next movie a Mad Max movie.
I forgot that he did 3,000 Years of Longing, which we saw last.
Yeah.
He was director, writer, and producer of that. I don't know. I still haven't watched the full cut of that movie. We saw the severely censored version in Malaysian cinemas.
Yep. I should watch that.
I should watch that. I think it is on. Actually, I think it is on one of the streaming services. It might be on HBO.
I think
that's right.
I think it might be on HBO. Oh yeah.
Also, George Miller, man. I mean, before we wrap this up, just his career is so varied.
Fucking tastic.
Right? 1979, Mad Max. Then Mad Max 2, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And then he does The Witches of Eastwick.
Great funny movie.
Right?
Great film. Okay.
Followed by the fucking amazing Lorenzo's Oil.
Also
and then
fantastic.
Babe.
Fucking Babe.
Babe Big in the City. Happy Feet.
Yes.
Happy Feet 2.
Followed by
Fury Road.
That's crazy.
I know. It's amazing.
It's a great sort of like weird.
But also it feels to me, it feels very Spielbergian in that sense, right? Because he just feels like he's doing projects that he enjoys and stories that he wants to tell. Because I can only think of a handful of directors who jump into children's movies and animated shows and then hardcore cyberpunk action type steampunk crap, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And then Lorenzo's Oil.
And then fucking Happy Feet.
Oh, and then Happy Feet.
2006 Happy Feet. 2011 Happy Feet 2. 4 years later, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
Fuck them penguins. I'm gonna go to the desert. I've got one last bit.
Yeah.
I just have one last bit. I'd like everybody listening to this to go and watch Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. And then I would like everybody to then go and watch or rewatch Mad Max Fury Road. And then I would like everybody who is, at which point I suspect you'd just be jonesing for more Mad Max Wasteland apocalyptic stories, right? Pick up the video game.
Oh.
Dude, you've never played it, right?
I haven't played the video game.
Oh, mate. It is so good.
What platform is it on? Like, I'm assuming it must be on Steam.
I mean, it was on PlayStation 4. So
okay.
I'm assuming it's available everywhere now. It came out in 2015. It was originally out on the PlayStation 4. It's on Xbox One. It's listed as Windows, Linux, Mac OS. So basically, it's everywhere. Dude, it is so good. Just the driving around the wasteland, getting war boys trying to steal your car, and then upgrading your... It's the best. I really want to go and replay it now. I wanted to be in that universe more. I just want to say, if you want more Wasteland, check out the Mad Max video game from 2015. It holds up, I'm sure.
Okay, now you've made me want to go and find this game and download it. I'm going to check on the PlayStation Store. I'm going to check on Steam. I'm going to see where it is. I'm going to check it out.
I'm sure it's on the PS Store. If you all hang on, I will quickly check on my PS app, but I'm fairly sure it's on the PS Store.
I'm pretty sure it must be on Steam as well.
Why are you playing it on Steam? You're playing on your computer?
A Steam Deck?
Bro, it's $8 on PlayStation. It's 8 ringgit.
Oh, sold. Let's do it.
90% off until 5th of June.
Okay, we don't have to wait that long. I'm going to do it now.
It's 8 ringgit.
Amazing.
Everybody, Mad Max, the video game, is 8 ringgit on the PlayStation Store. Please go and get it so you can play it and be more in the wasteland. You'll be creating your own cars. You'll be upgrading your own cars. You then have to like break into camps and stuff. It's great.
All right. Mad Max, the video games on PlayStation 4. Furiosa, Mad Max Saga is now showing in Malaysian cinemas. We highly, highly, highly recommend IMAX as always because we love IMAX and we think you should watch it on the biggest screen possible. It looks absolutely stunning. Visually, the spectacle that George Miller has crafted is second to none. And if you loved Fury Road, we think you'd like this too. Let us know what you think once you've seen it. You know how to reach out. Goggler MY, all of our social media feeds. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline, 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.